renewed sense of energy, I go to use a special face wash I had bought just before I left New York. You know, I went to the Kiehl's store, the skincare store, and I bought this face wash, and I'm washing my face, and the next thing you know, I smell something, and I'm thinking, gee, you know, I know this little white woman that owns this bed and breakfast is not in there pressing her hair, because I smell hair pressing. This is a very distinct smell. Well, sure enough, I lift up and I wipe my eyes and find that my hair is on fire. This is a true story. And I find that my hair is on fire. So after everything that happened, I just, you know, obviously frantically put my hair out. And now I'm completely freaked out. You know, the shower has dissipated. All the calm that comes in the shower is just gone. I dry off, I moisturize, and then I sit in my overly decorated room and just blink. That's all I could do. I was like, I'm just going to sit right here and I'm just going to blink because I don't know what else to do in this moment. So this is just one excerpt in a series of very terrible events that was happening to me during that time. I had just lost 3 of my aunts. 3 of my great aunts who were important parts of my coalition of moms. You know, they were women who had adopted me as their child, and I adopted them as my moms. Yeah. So there were people that I could go to in times of trial and tribulation and fear, and people that I could go to for advice. They were just a fixture in my life for years. And then 3 of them passed away, all in a 9-month time span. So that, on top of everything else, was just a lot. And that experience was tough, but I viewed it as an omen. I felt like the Most High was telling me, South Carolina is not the place for you. I knew it was not the right place for me. So I moved back to California, and thank goodness, because I wouldn't really be here today if I hadn't. So everything happened. When we encounter hard times, we have to ask ourselves, where does our faith come from? Where do we get that faith? Does only a feeling of helplessness facilitate that faith? Or is it something that we live with on a regular basis and cultivate so that it's a constant support to us, whether or not we realize we're leaning on it? Yeah. Now, one of the things that we can do is refer back to previous experiences. Who in here has never had a difficult experience? Stop it, Cinnabar. I always won. Everyone has had a difficult experience, but we're still alive. We're still breathing. We're still here. We've made it. We saw an end to that experience. We rise like Rod Daly, right? We are renewed and we are revived after we overcome, when we overcome those experiences. And it is not always easy. What's your Confederate road? What is that experience that you've had that put you in the midst of something that you felt like, A, I don't know why I'm here or why this happened. B, I don't know how I'm going to get out of it. Right now, I can't necessarily see an end to it. Where is that opportunity for you to say, Most High God, I trust you. And I know you are going to bring me through. I know that you are going to carry me through. I know that you are going to make it okay. Those are important experiences that we need to keep our eyes open for. And we also gain faith by watching others in our lives be righteous and upstanding people. You see somebody who carries and conducts themselves in a way of faith, in a way that is the emulation of doing ma'at, then pay attention to that person. See what they do. Engage them in dialogue and conversation and say, how do you do that? When you experience X, Y, and Z, how do you deal with it? Everybody can be a sacred teacher. Right? Go to them for counsel and ask them how they manage to remain faithful. We also in this faith pay attention, close attention to our ancestors. We appreciate the contributions that they made for us, and we appreciate the knowledge that they passed down to us. Whether they passed it down directly or whether they passed it down by us just happening to learn about their lives and their lifestyles and the way that they carried and conducted themselves. On that road, I imagined what my ancestors who were enslaved in that area must have felt like when they were running from the patty rollers. Because I'm convinced that my folks were part of the rebellion. Right? What did they experience? And what kind of bravery did they have when they were defying odds and eluding and outsmarting the patty rollers? Right? And we know that patty rollers are the folks the gaggles of white men who would be out into the woods and chase and harass enslaved people who sometimes were on their appointed routes, but tried to round up folks who were running away, who were escaping to freedom. I thought about those of our ancestors who kept our traditions alive in the face of oppression and subjugation. Right? I imagine what they must have endured. And that is a place from which I drew inspiration. And that's a place from which we can all draw inspiration. I especially learned from those like my great-grandfather, Johnny Brown, who was a faithful man in the rough times and in the good ones. He was steadfast in his praise at all times. We also can refer back to our past experiences. And again, they help us to grow in faith. Not just thinking, okay, we came through that challenging experience, but also remembering how we had faith in that time, in that challenging time. Life is a faithful experience, whether we know it or not. We have a whole lot of faith in a whole lot of stuff. We have faith in our cars. We have faith in the bus drivers and the airplane pilots. We trust them with our lives, people we don't even know and often don't even speak to. We trust them with our lives, right? We trust teachers with our babies. We trust one another with our hearts, right? In negative experiences, they are part of that sacred training ground. If we pay attention, we get better at them. Mistakes are made to be learned from, and when we learn valuable lessons from our mistakes, the universe rewards us with a bit more lightness and freedom than we had at the original outset. When we learn this lesson that was hard to come by, that feels good, especially when you recognize that you've learned the lesson. That's a sort of freedom. That's a reward from the universe, from the Most High, for doing a good job of learning. That's the gold star on the top of your paper, right? We talked about our now sacred ancestor, Nelson Mandela, and he was indeed a wise man. One of the things that he said was, I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way. But I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I have taken a moment. He's taken a moment to reflect on the fact that, yeah, we go through these tribulations, we climb these great hills, and we reach, a high point, and we can look down and we can breathe and we can enjoy, but trust and believe there's more climbing to do and more climbing to do. And it's not a chore. It's not a bad thing. It's a positive thing because it's part of the journey. We take what we've learned, we apply it to our lives if we're smart. Right? The whole point of learning things is so that we can apply it. So we take what we learn, we apply it, and then we learn some more. It's like building our own personal pyramid, right? The knowledge builds upon itself and reaches a pinnacle at the end of our earthly lives. I like to think that we start a new structure with every life using the weight of past knowledge that our souls retain to hold it all together and provide a solid foundation, right? They didn't find any mortar in the pyramids. That's weight holding these structures together, weight and other stuff that I can't begin to explain. But the point is, I understand the weight part. Nelson Mandela also said, difficulties break some men, but make others. Right? Men and women, obviously. Difficulties break some men, but make others. No axe is sharp enough to cut the soul of a sinner or a fallible being who keeps on trying. That person who makes those mistakes, but keeps on trying to do better. Right? He says that they're one with armed with the hope that even he will rise in the end. So you keep trying and you hold on to that hope that at the end you'll make it. What tools will you equip yourself with based on the journey that you've already traveled so that you don't end up having to face a walk through the woods in raffia pumps? Right? I read this article in Jet magazine, and it was an interview of Huey Newton. And he was either in the county jail, but it was something associated with Alameda, and either it was like the city jail, county jail, but basically he was being mistreated. No surprise. They didn't exactly enjoy Huey Newton and his work. And in the article, and this was back when Jet actually wrote real stuff. Now it's just kind of like, birdcage lining, but back in the day, they really had some good articles. So he talked about the hardships he faced in jail, and he talked about how they try to tear you down. They try to mess with your mind. They try to beat you and brutalize you. But if you keep your mind sharp, that's how you can overcome the experience. He talked about getting up, being in solitary confinement, being in a tiny, tiny room where he just would do sit-ups, right? Then they move him to a smaller room, and he'd kind of do the best push-ups he might be able to do, right? Move him to a space that he even more confined. And he said, you know what? Then I went to meditation and visualization to try my best to keep my mind straight. And but Baba Huey learned how to survive prison by going to prison. That was part of his sacred training ground. He spoke from experience. He talked about keeping your mind healthy. Now, we know that mental health exists on a continuum. It's not like these old, very simplistic ideas about somebody is either crazy or they're not. Mental health exists on a continuum. So there is 100% completely and totally healthy and all right on one part of the continuum. And then there's the other part of the continuum that's more like, Lord love them. Right? So we all slide back and forth on that continuum constantly. And sometimes folks tip a little dangerously closer towards that Lord love them side. But we have to use the tools that we've been given, both through our life experiences and through our studies, and through prayer and sacred messages sent to us to help bring us back and help us remember how to be healthy. Use all the tools that are given to us. Technology is a tool too. Technology is a tool too. Now, we often describe ourselves as spiritual beings in the midst of a human experience. We believe the soul to be everlasting. In the Hosea, in the book of Ankh Shashanki, in passage number 2, it says, "May I recognize my brother and listen that I may open my heart to them, and may life always follow death." So everlasting life was an aspiration. People understood that that's something that you want. You don't want to kill your spiritual opportunities by killing yourself in this, or by bringing about death in the midst of your life experience. You want to have the sacred honor of your soul continuing to move on and grow. So if we believe in the everlasting nature of the spirit, but we believe in the finality of individual life experiences or life expressions, we know that we go through various bodies in the lifetime of a soul. Right? Each ancestor that we praise, whether it's Nelson Mandela or Gordon Parks or, great uncle Jethro or whoever, right? We know that their the ancestors that we're praising are that manifestation of them at that time, right? That's only one part of their expression. That's only one part of their spirit, because the soul is going to keep going, but it's been multiple times. So what is the point of the soul manifesting itself in different incarnations? Maybe life is like a sacred boot camp, right? You know that exercise, that military style exercise program that is available at the gym, right? And throughout the town. They call it the boot camp. After about 20 minutes, you just want to get up and shout, "Constable, arrest this man. He is trying to kill me." Right? Because that stuff is no joke. Boot camp is no joke. It is hard and it is exhausting. But I tell you what, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And the better you become at small victories. When you do one more push-up, when you do one more sit-up, when you are able to lift 5 more pounds, run just a few more feet than you were able to the day before, it feels good. Right? That's practice in appreciating small victories. And how is that a metaphor for life? An important component of the point of our existence and life manifestation is learning. That's an important component, is learning. The whole point, we come here for hands-on training. We come to this planet for hands-on training. We pick up skills that serve us in this life and the next. We're not always training on that specific thing. So you think about chess. Chess, when you teach someone to play chess, or you play chess, it's not just a game. It is teaching how to think. It's teaching strategy. It teaches how to look at the bigger picture. It teaches patience. These are all virtues that we can take and apply to our lives. If you remember this, there's a film called The Karate Kid. Who's seen The Karate Kid? Right? You remember that Mr. Miyagi started The Karate Kid off training on very mundane tasks, right? Wax on, wax off, right? Wax on, wax off. And the Karate Kid is like, "Why are you I said I wanted to learn karate." And Mr. Miyagi is like, "Look, I got this. You said you trusted me. Wax on, wax off." But it was a creative method that he used to teach this young man some very specific movements that he was going to need to be successful in karate. Now, sometimes, much like the Karate Kid, we might be resistant to learning. We might be resistant to growth, right? Resistant to change. Sometimes we will reject new thoughts and ideas and concepts because newness is new. Just because it's something different. Right? Newness can often feel like square one. It can often feel like learning to ride a bike again. We know what a wobbly, kind of scary experience it was to learn to ride a bike in the first place. And you learn to ride a bike with this sort of looming threat of skinned knees and embarrassment from the falls that were inevitable. We often resist our growth and change and learning because we have a fear of the unknown. We recognize that when you are doing something new, when you have not mastered a thing, right, there's an expanded capacity for failure because you are no longer expert in this thing. You have an expanded capacity for failure. Quite often, our rejection of evolution, growth, change, and learning is fear-based. If we dip and dodge to avoid are growing and changing and evolving, then aren't we shunning the very sacred process that we came here to carry out? Aren't we shunning that very sacred process? Reverend Eloise Oliver is a minister at East Bay Church of Religious Science, and I respect her knowledge very much. And I remember hearing her talk about a person who was shipwrecked. She talked about this person falling into the water after this horrible shipwreck, and he was floundering and didn't know what he was going to do. He's out, he can't see any land, and a piece of driftwood comes by. So he holds on to this driftwood, and he stays out in the water for days. He's able to stay afloat, just barely alive. Finally, the driftwood helps to carry him to shore on a nearby island that he knew nothing about, an island that there was a beach, and then there was sort of a jungle area on the inner part of the island. So this man is thankful. He's thankful that he had this driftwood to help him to get to this island. Now the driftwood has taken up a special meaning for him. But he knows that he's got to find shelter, he's got to find food, and he's going to try to possibly find some people that could help him. And he's walking towards the wood, dragging this piece of driftwood that helped him stay afloat, because he's appreciative of the driftwood and what it's done for him thus far. But when he's trying to get through that jungle and through those trees, he's getting caught up. Why? Because the driftwood is hindering him. You can't hold on to the driftwood. Appreciate the driftwood. Appreciate what it did for you to help you survive. Appreciate what it meant to you and let it go, because that driftwood no longer serves you. It no longer serves you. That's an important lesson to learn. When to let go of stuff that may have been useful in the past but no longer serves you. Right? Or maybe he might have figured out how to bust up the driftwood on the rocks to make a cane or make a walking stick or make a weapon, just in case. Because everybody ain't friendly. Everybody ain't friendly. Right? So that was an important lesson, and it really stayed with me. So I thank Reverend Eloise for that lesson. Now, teaching, we go back to thinking about teaching and learning. You know, you can't learn without a teacher of some sort. Teaching is a sacred task and a sacred responsibility. If we come to this existence to learn and to grow as spiritual beings, then that teaching is huge. Now, I'm going to pick on the brothers today. Actually, one of which is here, Baba Jahi. His wife is like, pick on him. Go ahead. One of the things that Baba Jahi does, one of the many things, obviously, he's the executive director of our, yes, I did, executive director. Yep. He is the executive director of Ile Omade. And he is a teacher, but he doesn't just teach subjects. He and Baba Abubakar are the two men that come to mind when I think about Ile Omade. They don't just teach subjects. They teach life lessons. They are teaching a massive collection of young men how to be upstanding men. Maybe they have that at home, but maybe they do not. And maybe it's just the salve that they need to heal their spirits. These men are teaching how to be a family man, right? How to be responsible, how to not just be responsible for your books or your homework or for wiping up the table on your day after lunchtime, right? But also how to be responsible for yourself, how to be responsible for the knowledge that you attain. They are teaching children not just information, but they're teaching them how to think and reason. Those are lessons that they're going to be able to apply to various areas of their life. That's a sacred work. That's a sacred work. If life is the boot camp for the eternal soul, then training it up in the way is indeed sacred work, and we can't forget that. Teaching and learning is a sacred cycle, and it's up to us to recognize the God in that cycle. In the introduction to the book of Wise Instruction, it says, thus each person, not just the Pharaoh, it was talking, excuse me, take a step back. They were talking about, Maulana Karenga is talking about Kemetic society. And he said, each person, not just the Pharaoh, was urged to preserve and practice Ma'at. Right? For he or she was judged by it and granted long life on earth, as well as eternal life in paradise or death. In paradise, or they got death and not non-existence based on this. So doing Ma'at is part of the understanding for these books of wise instruction. The books of wise instruction are giving you information about how to continue on your journey to do ma'at. Now, true wisdom, whether it's shared from the Husia or from your grandmama, grew from learning experiences. The people in the Husia that were writing the Husia and writing other sacred texts didn't just, make it up out of the blue. And they may have gotten the divine information sent to them, but they didn't make it up. Folks experienced things. They watched things. They paid attention, right? And those experiences and that wisdom grew from learning and significant growth, and I'm sure change. When discussing ma'at, the way that different people describe the virtues of ma'at vary, right? So someone might say truth, justice, righteousness, harmony. Some people say reciprocity. So people add different. From what I've been reading from conversations and talking to people, they add different virtues. But the one that's always consistent is truth, right? Truth, and it is always spoken first. So they're not just talking about, in doing ma'at, not just telling the truth, right? Not just speaking truth to power. It's also accepting the truth about life, accepting the truth about ourselves. Accepting the truth about where we need to grow to fulfill our sacred promise. We make a sacred promise to the universe, right? We have to apply the wisdom that we gain from our acceptance of the truth to the betterment of our lives and share in the act of sacred teaching with those around us, right? So we gain this wisdom. We have to share it with somebody. Fire is hot. Somebody told me that. Now, maybe I had to burn myself to really learn it, but at least somebody told me so that when I did burn myself, I could say, "Ooh, fire is hot." Because I gained that information from somebody else in advance. Somebody prepared me. Even if I didn't listen, when it was time for me to really absorb that knowledge, it was there for me. We are all accepted to the University of Life when we gain acceptance to the University of Life, we make an agreement that we will diligently study and learn. We get a full scholarship to the University of Life, right? It's called breath, right? Bodily functions. That's our scholarship. One of our greatest sacred lessons is how to find faith even when we're stranded on Confederate road, surrounded by Confederate flags, and the threat of modern day patty rollers, right? I had faith that I would be safe. I had faith that I would be safe. As the saying goes, only fools rush in, and my mama didn't raise no fool. Okay? Wisdom told me that I was in an unsafe situation. It told me probably not a good idea to walk up to the houses with Confederate flags. Probably shouldn't do that. But faith told me that everything would be all right. Now, don't get it twisted. Wisdom also told me to go in that trunk and get that tire iron out in case I needed to handle somebody. Because, again, my mama didn't raise no fool. And if something happened to me, you might have found my body, but you was going to find it's a bunch of dead or brain damaged hillbillies right in the same vicinity. You better ask somebody. I'll close with this quote from Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." May you find faith, hope, peace, and love on your journey to grow and learning to be ma'at. Ashe. Thank you. And so at this time Alrighty, so at this time, we would like to open the doors of our community to anyone who might like to join us in our sacred work and prayer, praise, etc. We only have a couple of visitors. No pressure. Just know that the doors are always open for you. Okay. And at this time, we will do our closing. And actually, I have a brief announcement, if you will indulge me for 2 minutes. Some folks know, Mama Pam and I are organizing a women's retreat. The Women of Wose, the WOW group, I call us. Women of Wose. Wow. I like it too. So this retreat, people were asking, like, what the heck is that? What are we going to be doing? What are you talking about? The theme for this retreat is fun, faith, fellowship, and femininity, right? So we are going to an undisclosed yet quite fabulous location on January 10th. For a full day retreat. If you would like to stay over the night, you're welcome. But it is going to be lovely. The whole point of the retreat is not for us to get together to air grievances. Not for us to get together and have any sort of facilitator or any sort of notes. It's for us to sit down and breathe and be together as women. Enjoy each other's company. Have a day off that's just about us, right? We're going to get massages. We will have free massages, right? We will have, we're going to be building vision boards for ourselves and for our community. And we are even going to be doing a little bit of karaoke, right? So we are going to have fun. We are going to have a nice time. That is the whole point of this retreat. When you look at any movement that has had any significant ground, and I don't care if we're talking about the Black Panther Party, I don't care if you're talking about the Civil Rights Movement, I don't care if you're talking about Kemet and its rise. Women were at the heart of that. It's time, WOW group. It's time, Women of Wose, for us to once again come together in support of one another, come together and recognize our power, our collective power, the collective power of the sacred feminine. That is what we're doing at the retreat. So I expect, if I have any authority, I expect every woman in this community to come out and participate. Dedicate yourself to it. I don't want to hear no, I can't, I'll be there at 3:00 because I got other stuff to do. You don't have nothing else to do but come and take care of yourself on this day. Allow yourself to enjoy yourself. So we'll be publishing times, and we'll also get a schedule together for rides, because the place that we're going, like I said, is fabulous, but it's about an hour away from here. Okay, so it's December 10th. That's a Saturday. I'm sorry, January 10th. See, look at me. Yeah, I'm so excited. I wanted to happen early. Actually, would have it happened? No, that would be a few days from now. So you have plenty of time for babysitting and for whatever other arrangements you need to make so that you can come and be carefree. Okay. So that being said, now, do we have any other brief announcements? I know Mama Carol has the post in the back, and that the newsletter has gone out. She has a few printed copies, I believe, for people who may not have access to email. And are there any other? Oh, Mama, go ahead. Mm-hmm. And proceeds from the calendar go to the Save Nubia project. Mm-hmm. Okay, nice. A handout for the website, with the website on it of the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Okay.
Not an announcement, but I have a question, and I'm not sure if it should wait until later, but it's about the retreat. This fabulous place, is it Black owned? And say I go, will we be the only chips in the proverbial?
We might, but I tell you what, we're gonna take up space. Because I take me with me wherever I go, and I will take up full space. So we might be, but we're gonna enjoy ourselves. And it's not Black owned. It's not Black owned. If somebody knows of a Black owned resort,
I don't know.
then we can make an arrangement there. but we don't have that right now.
Okay.
But maybe we'll put that in our vision.
Right, we need it.
Right. We do. We need it. and we're growing towards it. So, any other announcements? Baba Jahi?
Yeah, Mr. Bakari Awakwe got another acceptance from Xavier University. Scholarship too. Number 4. What's up, Baller?
Bakari is one of our local scholars, or one of our own homegrown scholars. And we look forward to him rising and making his trillions so that we can continue to grow our community. All right, so let's cut. Oh, Mama Carol?
One final announcement too. Those of you that not for today's Jose Community Service, you notice on the back that December 26th is the day that Jose is doing the concert.
Yes. Thank you, Mama.
And it's going to be at the Holy Redeemer, which is right around the corner of Hawkins. Okay? And then there, on the newsletter, the original, the December newsletter, you'll see a couple of links for Kwanzaa's in the Bay Area. There's a big thing going on in San Francisco. And also, I printed that out for San Francisco, and it's on the wall over here. So
Thank you.
it's 2 Kwanzaa events each day of Kwanzaa that's taking place in San Francisco.
Right.
December 26th, make sure you put that on your calendar for a little bit.
Thank you, Mama. And for those who are on watching us online, please be sure to come to our website and sign up to get our newsletter, sign our mailing list. You'll get the Pan-African Affairs newsletter that goes out with all of the information that we've been discussing. Alrighty, so if we could come together for our closing. Come forth and join hands, make a circle. Y'all know the drill.
Sister Connie is on the piano. Generations upon whose shoulders we stand, who reminded us that we are one people, having one faith, one aim, and one destiny. Let us utter that name that our ancestors have uttered from time immortal. Amen. You are the most beautiful people on the face of this earth. Happy birthday!
Birthday
sure will.
Yeah, the top button. Smile. Oh no, but you're gonna put it back up. Take one foot. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh no, you got the food. No, that's okay though. Birthday can you take a couple with all the kids? Oh, person on the top. Okay.
Yeah, just aim it and press